talk as we've built up towards this series, and we've been talking about our core value of generous hearts, has negatively impacted me. So we were up this weekend filling feeders up at the ranch. And I used in the illustration last week the parable of the talents, that a talent was a unit of measurement in the Middle East, typically around 60 pounds of gold or silver. And I'm filling feeders, and I had made that comparison between what a talent would be and the weight of a bag of corn or a bag of protein. One of my staff said, I've never lifted a bag of corn or a bag of protein. I thought about bringing one in. They could try it out in the office. We could do that interactively. But I'm lifting bags of corn and putting them into the feeders, and that thought to heart to tongue thing began to kick in. And as I'm lifting that thing up and heaving it into the feeder, I'm thinking, what if this was gold? What if this really was a talent of gold instead of a talent of corn? Now, we'd just come from the feed store, and the price of corn the last 3 years, it felt a little bit like gold. But I started thinking, what would I do? I came up with a mental list of armory type things that I would want to get. A couple more bags later, I'm thinking I could pay off the house with this. A couple more bags later, I'm thinking I could carry some awesome jewelry with this. I could eat anywhere I want to eat. I could own, and it just kept going on, and my heart just kept swelling with, if this was a bag of gold instead of a bag of corn, this is what I would do. I'm like 3 or 4 feeders later, which means we filled, put everything together, got it all working, tested, drove to the next one, started working again. As this cycle just continues, I'm thinking of all the things I would do with all of that money. Now, as a believer, as a Christian, you've had this experience before. God tends to literally speak to us. No, it's not an audible voice, but when he does, you recognize it. And about that 4th feeder, which would make that 5, 10, 15, I'm up to 20 bags now, 20 bags of corn that I'm wishing in my heart was gold. God says, what about the church? I'm kind of like, I hadn't thought about that. I mean, 20 bags of gold, I'm working on my next set of 20 to 25, and I'm thinking all the things I wanted to do that were for me. I mean, truthfully, even thinking about doing something for Carrie was down the list. It was all about James at that moment. And then God just reminded me, and then I started thinking, well, okay, we could have town hall Sunday night, and I can tell everybody the church has been paid for by an anonymous bag of gold. We don't have to raise any money. We don't have to do anything. That we can make up the deficit in the budget. And God just reminded me that generosity is actually not an easy thing. I actually think it's probably impossible if you're not a follower of Christ, because he set the ultimate goal of generosity. But it also reminded me, as a part of what we're going to look at today, the influence of the church and how we resource that, and how the church is a positive influence in culture and society and communities and in homes and families. That it takes those resources. And because I'm naturally inclined towards myself, I just need to be reminded sometimes, and I need to revisit sometimes what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what's taking place. And that's what we're going to pause for a minute in the service as we talk about generous hearts. And as those generous hearts are together with the other core values of changed lives and authentic relationships, as we are in these core values and as we're looking at generous hearts, when you express generosity in our ministry, it touches lives. And it actually helps cure the heart. So I actually believe we think about what we're going to do financially, it becomes a part of our heart and who we are as generous people. And it becomes a part of what we ultimately say. Because what we do financially in church touches the world. So we're going to pause, and I want you to take a look at what your gifts to the budget go to, where they're spent, and how they impact our world. and what we can do when I put aside my own agenda and I'm willing to follow the agenda of Christ and his kingdom with my generosity. Let's watch this.
When you give at First Baptist Church Tomball, you make life change happen. But what does that mean? It means your financial gift goes directly to support ministry at FBC Tomball, the Tomball community, and all around the world. Let us show you where it goes. 10% of every gift goes to support missions and evangelism. This includes organizations such as the Southern Baptist Convention Cooperative Program and our local Baptist Association. It also includes local Tomball ministries like Team, Tomball Pregnancy Center, Pastors Council, and more. 7% of each gift goes towards First Baptist Church's ministries. This includes our children's ministry, student ministry, adult ministries, worship ministry, media ministry, and our discipleship and outreach ministries. It also supports ministry events like camps, VBS, Springfest, literature, and more. 29% of each gift given goes to maintenance, utilities, and operations for our facilities. This includes things like electricity, AC repairs, debt payment, and insurance. 48.9% of every gift given at First Baptist Church Tomball goes towards the administration at the church. First Baptist Church Tomball is over 4% below where church health strategists suggest churches to be for this category in churches our size. This includes our ministers, assistants, accompanists, maintenance, and other contracted employees. The remaining 5% of each gift given goes to transportation, communication, publicity, church-wide promotions, fellowships, and supplies. You can feel confident knowing when you're generous and give at First Baptist Church Tomball, your gift is advancing the kingdom of God here in Tomball, but also all around the world. Your gift makes life change happen.